okay, so can you use the 5K as kind of a platform to not only help you with the shorter races, like the 3K and the mile, but help you for the longer races as well, 10K, half marathon, marathon? Yes, you can. And how do you kind of do it? Well, I mean, I'm a believer of a multi-tiered pace training system, and I've used it with my athletes over the last 2 decades as a coach with a lot of success. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm not a believer of essentially doing the same thing for 3 weeks and then changing, doing something different for 3 weeks, and then that's only going to get you so far. I like to have a well-balanced training program from beginning to end, with emphasis changing depending on what you're doing. But let's use a 3-week cycle, okay? And let's just say you have a 12 or 15-week program and you're kind of switching around every 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, so that 3 week gives you a chance to adapt to one type of training. And then for periodization purposes, you make a little bit of a modification. Again, you can shift the emphasis each time if you'd like. But let's just say early season you're doing hills. Let's use 10 times a minute uphill, right, with a jog down recovery on Tuesday. Let's use a Tuesday and a Friday. And then Friday, you're doing a tempo run, right, building towards 20 to 25 minutes consecutively at this point, at the appropriate training paces based on your current fitness. It has to be that way. That's the most effective way to keep you healthy and safe, okay, and minimize the risk of injuries. Okay, and then the second week, you do 5K pace work on Tuesday and 3K pace work on Friday, right? And the following week, you could do mile pace stuff on Tuesday, and then some shorter, faster stuff on Friday, either on a track or even within a long run itself. You could incorporate some speed fart, like in a long run, with the emphasis being on really, really fast stuff, 800-meter pace and faster, okay? And now you have a descending program here, and then you can repeat that cycle, switch the emphasis a little bit, see how well you did, monitor your recovery on each workout, see if you need to modify that part, okay? And then the following time around, you can either add reps to the hill repeats, okay, add no more than 2 reps, or make them a little bit longer if you'd like. I like to add reps things because that's one sign of progression, at least early on, okay? So let's just say you're adding 2 reps, so 12 times a minute hard uphill and coming back down. And then rather than a tempo, I'm doing threshold this time. So let's just say I'm doing 6 to 8 times a 1,000-meter effort at threshold pace with a 1-minute recovery. Threshold pace is not the same as race pace, and the recovery should not be the same either. And I would not be doing 8 times a 1,000 at 5K pace, okay? I would be doing 5 to 6, or building towards 5 to 6 times a 5K times 1,000 at 5K pace with a 2-minute recovery. See how well you adapt there, okay? And then the following week, again, 3K. Later on that week, I'm doing some 3K pace. And let's just say you're doing some 600s or some 500s at 3K pace, okay? With the emphasis on going no more than 4 kilometers in distance, okay? And with the emphasis on going no more than 6 kilometers in distance for 5K pace stuff, okay? And then the following week with the emphasis on going no more than 1.5 miles distance for the mile pace stuff, and going no more than a mile in distance for the faster stuff, the 800-meter pace stuff and down. Remember, the volume doesn't have to be long for every workout. That's why you have long runs too. You're building strength in a lot of different ways, and the long runs or progression runs and the tempo stuff is going to help complement the shorter, faster stuff that you do. That's where the balance comes in, right? Yes, you want to have a strong aerobic foundation, but that's why we're doing the recovery runs and the long runs. And if you have an opportunity to do the long runs over rolling areas, that's a great way of building strength in a more forgiving manner too. Uphill running is less taxing on the legs than flat running, okay? And if you have softer surfaces, that's even more forgiving on the legs, and I highly encourage you to take advantage of it when you get the opportunity to do that. But this puts you in a position to do a couple of things. Again, the long runs are transitionable upward. So if you decide you wanted to transition upward to 10K or half marathon, you've already built a foundation on the long run itself to transition upward, okay? The tempo runs and the threshold stuff also are a transitional point too. So if you get up to the 25-minute tempo, it's over time, okay? And I actually have a video on how to build tempos up to 20 to 25 minutes. So take a look at it on the channel, okay? You can transition that upward too, okay? And the over distance in the thousands, you could bump them up to 1,200-meter efforts. You could bump them up to mile efforts as well. 6 miles worth of distance over time if you want to transition upward. Because essentially, if you're training for a 10K, 6 miles worth of distance is a good distance. If you're training for a half marathon, I would not exceed 7 miles for the most part, at half marathon pace. Okay, that's a lot of distance to be covering for a half marathon, unless you're at a super high level and you have a coach prescribing something appropriately for you. But the distance I would not exceed is 7 miles for half marathon pace, and it should not be the week of a half marathon. It should be several weeks out from the half marathon. So just food for thought. But I wanted to kind of go over this, and these cycles you can repeat every 3 weeks, again with the emphasis being a little bit different. You can be a little bit more aggressive in the 5K pace stuff over time, and as you get closer to your goal race, the emphasis shifts towards more race pace and faster than race pace. Okay, and that's how you kind of get ready. That's how you're adapting. It's called periodization. Okay, if this stuff makes sense, let me know what you think. Do you follow a different recipe? You could follow a 2-week cycle too. You really could, and repeat that for several times. So there's a lot of different ways you could do it. And again, training for the 5K puts you in a position to run a good mile, a good 3K, and a good 10K, and even upwards. So 5K is a sweet spot. That's why I wanted to kind of focus on that today. But if you find this helpful, hit the thumbs up. And again, share this with other coaches and runners in the running community if you don't mind. I want to share this with as many people as possible. I want people to take advantage of the free access they have to this channel. And if you have training questions of a specific nature, reach out to me directly. You have direct access to me. blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. I'm happy to help out. So have a great week, everybody. I'll talk to you next time.